So this might be, I think, third or fourth class, and we guys know we are into the Jenkins training, right? So let's continue with the next part. Today's topic is very important because when you talk about automation, because Jenkins is a tool purely based on automation. Technically, it used in DevOps approach. It used in CI/CD world. But what is DevOps? We haven't discussed yet completely, and what is CI/CD in my upcoming class after you guys comfortable with Jenkins installation part and some of the basics of the Jenkins. Then I will explain you what is CI/CD and what is the pipelines, right? By the meantime, I just want in my initial classes to make you comfortable with some of the core concepts of the Jenkins, right? So today's guys plan is very important topic because whenever you want thing to be automated, okay, and Jenkins is a tool for the automation, right? Triggers is a concept that we use a lot because again in the automation, normally what happen, we have to manually run it. Things will be automated, but we have to ask when to run. Okay, so from a example, for from my last example, I have put some code in GitHub again, and I want my code will download from the GitHub and copy in my web server. Okay, so everything is automated. Jenkins we have, they will go to GitHub, download the code, copy in our web server. So in that context, Jenkins will do everything automated, right? But one thing you have to do, okay, that is again the manual thing, that you have to ask to Jenkins then when to run. Means you have to run the job in the Jenkins, right? So if you want that automation process also being automated by some way, then the role of triggers come in play. Okay, so guys, in last class I already introduced you about the triggers, but we are going to go more deep dive into this topic because there's lots of different kind of triggers we have. We have triggers called poll, SCM. We have triggers from GitHub hooks. We have triggers from API automate call. Okay, so a lot of different kind of triggers we have. So one by one I will explain you multiple use cases and which use case solved by which kind of trigger. Okay, so almost all the triggers we are going to complete today, but think in this way, I want my automation also to be automatic run. Okay, so like it is automation of automation, in simple term you can think of, right? So that the role of trigger come in play. And one example, guys, we have already done about the trigger in my last class, that is about schedule. We schedule that when my job to be run. So you don't have to manually run your job after every minute, after every day, or after every week, whatever time you schedule, the job will automatically run for you, and what are the steps you have written in the job, they will process for you. Okay, so but we'll discuss again about triggers, and there's a lot of advanced triggers we have, and we'll implement this trigger one by one, and almost everyone is solve certain kind of use cases. Okay, and by chance, anybody who are also with me in my DO 180 training, it is official training from Red Hat, and the product is called OpenShift that we have just started. So again, guys, OpenShift has lots of inbuilt triggers with them. Okay, so concept that I'm going to explain about same concept can be also applied in OpenShift. Understand one thing, guys, you guys know OpenShift, you don't know OpenShift, this training is purely about Jenkins, but the concept that I'm going to explain you today, exactly same concept you can also implement with the tool something like OpenShift. Okay, so that's I'm just referring this term here. Okay, so let's start, guys, one by one about the triggers concept, right? But before, guys, I will go for this concept. Let me tell you one very one small tip I'm just going to give you, right? Maybe sometime maybe useful. It is not about Jenkins, but why I'm giving to you, because some of my practical today, this will gonna help you. Okay. So what I mean by this? So just forget for a minute about Jenkins. There's one concept I'm going to explain you, and one tool I'm going to give you, and this tool will be useful for lots of different kind of testing, right? So what I mean by this, maybe guys, most of the guys know how to configure or how to set up your own web server. Okay, and by chance we don't know, so in my last class I show you how to configure your web server. So this OS we use, this is my Linux operating system, and inside this Linux operating system I installed one one software named Apache HTTPD, and we have configured our Apache web server. Okay, so very quickly, if you want to check if we can use this command, and this command will tell in your system Apache web server is running. Okay, or guys, in my last class, in this system, in this particular folder, we copy some of our web pages. Either you created or you get from GitHub, or Jenkins get from GitHub. It is not so much important. The important thing here is we have our some web pages with some content. Okay. So this web server, guys, we have already configured in our system, and by chance the IP of my this system is 100.11. So this is my IP address. So by chance, you guys know, and again, it is not the case of web server. It may be mail server, database server, whatever you know, or any kind of network program. So in my case, guys, right now, 192.168.100.11. This is the IP of this particular OS. Okay. And you guys know the IP this that I have right now with me is known as private IP. Okay. And what I mean by private IP means from my laptop, from my other OS, let's say from Windows, I can connect to this VM, or other VM can connect to this VM. So everybody has a local connectivity. Everybody can connect to each other, or maybe from a Windows system, if I try to see the website of this guy, I can use this IP. What IP they have? Today is 11. They can see the website. Okay. So everyone has a local connectivity, but right now, if you are sitting in your office, or maybe in your home, right, from your laptop, if you try to see my website, okay, if you want to access my website, you won't able to access. Okay. One of the reason is, there are a lot of reasons, but one of the reason is that from your laptop, if you try to access my web server, right, you won't able to reach. And one of the reason is because I have a private IP. Anybody from the internet, because right from my laptop perspective, you guys are sitting over the internet. Means from my side, for me, you guys are there in the web, or I can say in the internet. Okay. And anybody from the internet, if they want to access your VM, your laptops, your instances, you require a public IP. Okay. So if you have a requirement that your VM have a web server, and your web server can be accessed by anybody in the world, okay, so you have to fulfill one thing, that you have to get a public IP. And normally, whatever ISP you have, telecom you ask those guys, they will provide a public IP to you, and can do some setting in a modem, in your router, and some more further settings, and you can get this public IP. So it's a little bit long process to have this, but without having the public IP, nobody can access your site. Okay. So either you go and buy this public IP, or take on a lease or rent from your ISP. Either you go for this long process, but or otherwise we have some more process. Okay. So there are a lot of third party company in the market. They provide some kind of solutions, normally sometimes known as tunneling. Okay, maybe sometimes known as VPNs. Okay, so there are a lot of company and third-party company in the world who provide tunneling or VPN kind of solution. So what you have to do, nothing special here. Go to these third-party company. They provide normally some kind of program or some kind of software that you have to download in your computer. Okay, in your computer, and you have to run this program. So what happened when you run that program provided by that company? Automatically, your your computer will connect to this computer or connect to their company server. And these guys already have some kind of public IPs they already purchased somewhere. So what a public IP they have, somehow they provide it to your instance. Okay, that technical called tunneling. So by the concept of tunneling, they provide those IP to you. Okay, so now I do whatever IP they provide to you. Okay, post this public IP to anybody in the world. So anybody in the world, by having that IP, they can reach to you. And obviously, if they reach to you, so in your system on port number 80, because website normally work on port number 80, they will access your website. Okay. So technically, what I'm trying to explain you here is, if you have a server in your laptop and you want anybody can access server, it is like a real web server or real web hosting. Okay, you can also make your computer to work as a real web server that anybody in the world can connect to you. Okay, but so I'm discussing this point today because in some of my trigger topic in Jenkins, we have to do this. Okay, but let me show you this demo very quickly without the Jenkins. So in my laptop, at this IP address, I have the web server, and if you guys try to connect to this IP, it is not possible because this is the pure private IP. Okay, so what we have to do, we have to go for some tunneling or VPN kind of companies. One of the product I'm showing you is called NG Rock. So this is one of the product or company name. So they provide a product for your Red Hat Linux or for your Windows, for Mac. So whatever OS you are in right now, you can download and use the product. Okay, in my case, my web server is running by chance on Linux operating system. So they have a product for Linux. So that's what I'm doing here. From this particular OS, okay, I'm going to a company or product called NG Rock. Okay, NG Rock. Okay, it is just one of the example. You will find tons of other products also in the market. Okay, and you can see here, it is a tunneling to your local computer. Okay, so I'll go to this particular site. Okay, so because my plan is, because in my Linux web server running, okay, so I'm downloading the software for the Linux, but they have other options also. You want to download for Windows, Mac, and other OS also. Okay, so they auto detected this is the Linux system, so I click here and I download this software. That's the only thing, guys, you have to do, and obviously you have to run this program. Okay, so this software has been downloaded, and so let me try to run this software. So my plan is pretty simple. I want whatever website I have created right now. If you're trying to access that site, it is not working. Okay, and my plan is that you can access that site right now. Okay, so that is my high level plan. So so let me go and install the software, guys. Whenever, guys, you download, you can find the download software in this particular location. So here the software downloaded, and guys, by chance the software is in the zip format, you have to unzip this. So in the Linux we have this command to unzip. Okay, and after unzip, they will provide you one command called ngrock. Okay, so, and finally you have to run it. So as soon as I run, okay, this program automatically, my VM or my Linux will automatically connect to the some of these guys, these companies where they have some public IP already connected. Already they have taken. So your laptop will internally connect to this system. This is called this program will create a tunnel for us, or in the simple term, right? In the simple term, you will have a public IP. You can think this way. Okay, so just here to run this program, and because this is a program, we have to run in this way /n0. Okay, and here, guys, this program is asking you want to connect to which program. Okay, you want to connect to web server, database server, Jenkins server, or LDAP server. Which server you want to connect? So you guys know, guys, servers always work on some port number, means technically which port number you want to connect. Okay, so here I can say I would like to connect on port number 80. And one more last thing you have to say here about this particular server, which protocol this server is working on. So you guys know mail server work on SMTP protocol, web server work on HTTP protocol. So you should be very clear which protocol this server is working on. So in my case is HTTP. So guys, this is the only command you have to run. Okay, and they provide you some free service. They also have some kind of chargeable also. If you go for pricing, they will provide some extra support, extra facility. But whatever I'm looking for right now, that is pure free from this particular company. So and you know, guys, as soon as I hit this, automatically my local VM will have a tunnel. Technically, my local system will have a public IP. Okay, and see, guys, in the top, initially they're connecting some of the server on the US, and they're trying to connect, and finally we connected. Okay, and what they're showing you, okay, they connected your local web server, local web server, and finally they give you a real IP address, and by saying the instead of IP address they give this name. So this name is, guys, is like a real IP address. So now anybody in the world, if you type, guys, this IP address, you will hit to my web page. Even though, guys, see, two guys already done. So here I'm getting the live records. Okay, two guys are already connected to my website. So anybody okay, who type this URL, okay, technically from your laptop you are actually connecting to my laptop, and in my laptop you are only connecting only one thing. That one thing is my web server. So whatever I have in my web server, let me quickly change something here. So this is the content of my web server, and what I'm doing here, I'm just quickly changing my name in this web server. And now, guys, if you refresh or if you connect, you will see my name. So technically it is just a high level proof that whatever you are connected with, right, you're connected with my laptop. Okay, 17 guys yet already some around maybe some, there's no real time, guys, but yeah, a lot of guys is already connected with me. Okay, so this URL, even though I can also try open link. So okay, too many connections request, because, guys, by chance this is a free service, and they have a number of connections limited per minute basis or per second basis, because tons of guys over here is connected, so they also feel it might be DOS attack, so they limit the connection, they stop the connection for some second. Okay. Okay, but the initial guys who has connected, they have connected very well, even though I can see live status also, everything is connected. Okay, and if I want to disconnect everyone, means nobody can connect me, I can do Control C to stop, and now nobody can connect. Okay, so this topic is not at all linked with Jenkins, but in today's class I need this topic somewhere. Okay, and one of the topic in the Jenkins trigger. Okay, so where somewhere I need. Okay, but this is a great demo, right? Because a lot of guys might be working other products also, and you want your laptop without having public IP can reach to public world. So this is a great tool to be used. Okay, so let's come to our main topic, that's called Jenkins trigger. So let's go and start with Jenkins trigger. So what is my plan today? Okay, so my plan is something like this, right? So right now, guys, in this particular system, I have Jenkins running. I can check very quickly with this command. So Jenkins is running in my computer, and by default, you guys know Jenkins run on port number 8080. Okay, so because my system has a private IP right now, so only my laptop can connect to my Jenkins server. So guys, if you know my IP address, if you know my port number, but you won't able to connect to my Jenkins server. Okay, because this IP is private, so you won't able to connect. Either my laptop have public IP, or I will do tunnel on this port. whatever I do, then only you guys can connect to my Jenkins server. So right now, guys, I'm not want to give my Jenkins server access to you, but I will give you soon for something. Okay, but let me log in my Jenkins server that is running in my laptop locally. So let me connect to my Jenkins server local. And so guys, this is the same server. Okay, whatever we guys have used in our last class. Okay, so what's my plan? Okay, so my plan, guys, is to explain you some more triggers, and for this I'm creating a job too. It's a freestyle project. Okay, what is freestyle? In upcoming classes you come to know when I start discussing our pipelines. Okay, so okay, and my plan is to guys discuss you about build triggers. So almost all the triggers we are going to discuss today. Okay, and this is a very powerful trigger. And for this trigger, I need ngrok with the Jenkins. What I mean by this, when I come to this topic, I will explain. Okay, but by the meantime, let me first cover this trigger. Okay, so what is build periodically? You guys know. Okay, let me very quickly yeah, do this. Okay, so build periodically means if I write star 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 star, it means every minute, because you guys know this star means every minute, every day, every month, all the things. So every minute they will run the job. Okay, and you don't have to click to run it; they will keep on running. And whatever you write here, let me do very small thing here. Let me write a command date. Okay, so it's very simple job. They're only doing one thing. They are running the date command. Okay, but the good thing about this job is, okay, I don't have to manually come and click on build now. Okay, because in this job we have enabled the trigger, and the trigger is called schedule. Means automatically after every minute, whatever schedule you have planned, after every minute they will run the job for you. Okay, so that's what, guys, this trigger we have already discussed, right? And what a use case of this trigger I also explained to you. But there's one challenge in this trigger, guys. Okay, in this trigger we have one challenge. So example, if you create a job means step by step things. Means maybe you create one step and you say go to GitHub, okay, and download some code. And second step, maybe after download the code, run the code, or maybe some more steps you write. So all the steps, if you put in one box, that's called job. Okay, so let's say you have created this kind of job. Okay, and now it is your choice. You want to run this job manually, so just always keep on coming to this job and click here, build now, and they will run for you. Okay, so either click here, automatically they will run for you. That's called manual build or manual run the job. Okay, but if you don't want, you want to thing to be automated, then you go for trigger, and what trigger you can use that I use right now, that's called schedule. Okay, you can schedule for a minute per day basis. So whatever you schedule, they go to GitHub, uh, download the code, run the code, and do further things whatever you write. Okay, but if you say I want my job to be automatically run, means you have to use trigger. But if you use schedule as a trigger, okay, there is one challenge. Okay, in by chance in this kind of example, the challenge is, okay, if you have a code in the GitHub, the code in the GitHub, and what I want, right? Technically, I want my job will do some kind of intelligence. They will go to GitHub, see the code, download the code, and run the code. Okay, again after a minute they will again go and look the code, but this time I want they will do some kind of intelligence. Means what they figure out, my code that I am seeing right now, it is exactly the same code, there is no change. And if there's no change, so internally they don't download the code and they don't run the code again and again and again. Okay, so if this is the requirement, again the use case something like this, I already explained to you, but very quickly if I draw the same diagram. So let's say I'm a developer. Okay, and this is the Jenkins we have, this is the GitHub account we have. Okay, so why we create a job? so that after developer push the code to GitHub, then after this all the things to be automated. Okay, so that's what we want. So I want after my code to be uploaded, instead of human being, Jenkins will automatically go there, right? Means automatically they run the job, they download the code. After download the code, they will copy the code somewhere, let's say in our web server. That's the diagram that I already practical that we already done in my last class. Okay, but I want my Jenkins is keep on monitoring this GitHub account. Okay, and for this you can go for a concept called schedulers trigger that I'm using right now. So but the challenge in the scheduler trigger is, right, let's say you schedule the trigger every minute. The challenge is means after every minute Jenkins go to GitHub, or even though I don't have any change in the code, even though I don't have any change in the code, okay, but even though Jenkins will download the same code, all the code again download, again run, again copy here. They keep on doing same thing again. Okay, but developer is not to change the code. Maybe developer might not change the code for 10 days. But if you put the scheduler for every minute, but they keep on doing the same thing again, it will unwanted wastage your time, processor, and other things also. But in this case, you might say, let's just change our scheduler not for every minute. Let's change the scheduler per day. Okay, so let me write here morning 11 o'clock. Okay, so at every 11 o'clock means after every day, run the job. So maybe it means if my developer, let's say we have planned the developer always change the code after every day, and just after change the code, maybe developer might change the code at morning 10 o'clock. So I tell my Jenkins at 11 o'clock in the morning, run your job. So whatever the latest code we have, within an hour, you download this, run it, and copy here. Okay, but there might be cases come up where I want my my maybe there might be possibility developer write a code and that is very critical code, and I want my code to be run at the same time, or within a minute, or within 2 minutes. Okay, so technically what I'm trying to explain you here is, right, I want as soon as my code push in the GitHub, my Jenkins come to know the code has uploaded in the GitHub. Okay, or as soon as they find the code uploaded in the GitHub, within a minute, Jenkins will download the latest code, run it, and copy here. Okay, that's what I want. Okay, and for this, one of the way would be we can create a scheduler with every minute run. This is one of the approach. We have better approach also, but this is one of the approach we have. Okay, that's what we in last class. So very quickly, let me create this example. So what I'm doing here, I'm going to same GitHub, repository. One minute, please. So, guys, 1 minute. Let me. I don't know why they're asking me to verify. So guys, just 1 minute. I just stopping sharing my account. Let me quickly verify my account. Then I'll share you again. Yeah, it has been verified. Okay, so just give me 1 minute. Let me properly link this topic. But this is the guys URL we have created. Okay, and what I'm doing right now, let's say I'm going to create one file here. Okay, 1 minute. I'm going to create one file here, index. Let's just go for same example, right? Maybe this example might be enough. So let's say we have this file. A developer uploaded this file. Okay, and after uploading this file, and I want somebody download and run it. Okay, so for this, I can take the help of Jenkins. I copy this URL, go to Jenkins, I can provide this URL to the Jenkins, that I have GitHub account, and this is the URL where we have some kind of code. Download this code. Okay, but there might be chances my developer might change this code any point in time, maybe after a minute, after 2 days, after 10 days, or maybe after 2 minutes. Okay, so I want you just keep on going there. Okay, keep on going there. Okay, keep on downloading the code and run it for us. Okay, so I don't want to manually run this. I want you go and keep on doing this thing. So for this, I can go for a trigger called scheduler, means build periodically. But here again, set here, go every minute, every day, whatever you can do. Okay. So if you do so, it will work for you. I already explained to you, and because this is the code we are downloading, and this code has this script. This example we have already discussed, guys, in my last class. So I can take the help of bash command and say whatever code we have downloaded, my test.sh, just run it for us. Okay. So this basic job we have created. And let me guys run this job for a minute to test. And guys, run. Okay, so internally they are going to GitHub, download the code, and run the code. You can see output come up. Okay, but behind the scene, because we have set a trigger, it means if you click on build now, you don't click on build now. Every minute, is here 11th automated run. Every minute they will go and download the code and run it. So it is good for some use cases. Okay, backup. So I want my backup to be done every day. So this kind of use cases, this kind of trigger is useful. But by chance, in this kind of example, this is not useful. Why? Because my developer say I'm not changing anything in the code for 10 days. Okay, the developer know. Obviously, Jenkins guys, we don't know. But Jenkins behind the scene, again going to GitHub, again download the same exact code, again run the same code, again give me still same out. Okay, so technically there is no use to keep on downloading the same code again and again and keep on running the code or saving the code somewhere. Okay, I want my Jenkins will only run the code or download the code if they find something change. Okay, but here guys, in Jenkins not doing for us. You see here 12 job again run, and again they download the same code, and again they run the same code, same output come up. So I don't want this. Okay, so guys, for this kind of use case, okay, the use case is very clear. I want Jenkins will go to GitHub, download the code, run the code only if some code change. Otherwise, they don't download and they don't run the code. Okay, so if this is the requirement, if this is the use case, so I can tell the Jenkins go to GitHub, check the code. If you think the code don't change whatever you had previously, don't download. Means don't do the further things. Maybe download, copy, run, whatever you write in the job. But if you think the code has been changed, whatever you have downloaded previously, okay, in your last job run, then only download the code. This is actually known as Paul GitHub or Paul SCM. Okay, so just go and pull the code from the SCM only if the code changes. Okay, for this we can go for a trigger called policy. This trigger. So this trigger and this trigger is almost same. Here also, guys, we have to give job in this format. This is called cron tab format. You have to schedule the job. Same kind of syntax that we have, even though if you see the help, same kind of syntax we have. Okay. So here, let me again write star. Okay. It means that only difference is, okay, this guy also run the job every minute. This guy also run the job every minute. Only difference here is, okay, in build periodically, okay, they always run the job. They always download the code if the code is same or don't same, or they always run the job, right? But here in the Pole SCM, they always go to Jenkins, GitHub, by chance because we have added GitHub as a SCM. So they again always go to GitHub, but they only download the code if they change. So if code don't change for 10 days, they don't download. But yeah, every minute they go to check, but they don't download till the time the code changes. Okay, so there's a small change difference in both the triggers. But this is very much useful in this kind of example. But yeah, if you want to do some kind of backup every minute, every day, so then go for this trick. So again, use case to use case, something is better, something is not better. Okay, so let me again go and check. Okay, let me run one manually. So my last job that I run manually, if we click on the console, you can see here this job is run by me. I am the admin user, and again we download the code and run the code. Okay, now let's just wait for 1 or 2 minutes. Let's what happened. Okay, and what Jenkins know. Okay, Jenkins say I already went to GitHub. I only download the code, run the code. Okay, but somebody asked me to rerun the job again and again every minute. So every minute I'll go to get GitHub again. But next time when I go to GitHub, what I realized, what code they have, same code I already downloaded. There's no difference. Okay, so I don't download behind the scene. I don't run the job behind the scene. It means right now, if you see here, your last job is 16. I think 1 minute already done. Again, we are still in 16. Again, if refresh, again we're 16. Okay, it means Jenkins is keep on going to GitHub. Okay, every minute, because we asked to go to every minute. Every minute you poll. But Jenkins behind the scene checking. The code is changed, code is not changed, so they are not running their job. Okay, and they will won't run the job till your code change. So let's say now this may be 10 days gone, and even though the job is not running. Okay, but maybe after 10 days my developer come here, or maybe their local repository, they edit the code and they upload the code, or maybe let me do it manually here. So my developer come here, or maybe they add some more line here, new code added. Okay, echo is just a command of Linux. Okay, and now what you will see again, guys, still we are on the last of 16, and I think 2 or 3 minutes already gone. But now as soon as I save the code, my code save means code change. Now this time you'll see, guys, my 17th number job run, but we have to wait for maximum 1 minute, because Jenkins is behind the scene going to GitHub every minute. So as soon as my Jenkins go to GitHub, they will see some code has been changed. And because they find some code has been changed, then they do poll SCM, means they download the latest code, and whatever we ask them to do in the job. Here in my case, I ask them to just run the code, so they run the code for me. Okay, so you'll see, guys, 17th number job will run. Let me refresh the page here. Okay, 16 is again still we are 16, because 1 minute is not yet complete. Yeah, you see here 17th job automatic run. Why they run? Because they find something is changed, and that's the right, guys. I don't want my job to be run every minute. But I want Jenkins to go and check, because otherwise how Jenkins come to know my my code has been changed. Okay, so now Jenkins find code has been changed, and finally they download the latest copy of the code. Okay, and they download the latest copy. You can see this is the extra line I edit in my code, and that's what they run. But understand one thing: this job is not run by me manually. This job automatic run. That's called trigger. And who run this job? So if you go and see the detail of in the console output, this is run by SCM changes. Okay, so if you see last job, it is run by admin, means by me. I am admin user here. This is called manual, but this job is actually run by SCM change, because something changed in the SCM, then only this job run. But now you're still waiting for, guys, now maybe 10 days or 1 year, this job never run. Only they run only if the code change in your repository. So this kind of example, guys, then poll SCM is a great trigger to use. Okay, but now it is now everything to be automated. Now you don't have to sit on the Jenkins. You can minimize Jenkins, log out from the Jenkins. Your job is keep on working for you. Okay, that's the great thing about the triggers. Okay, but guys, in this trigger we have one more challenge. One challenge we have in this trigger. Okay, so in this trigger the challenge we have is, again let me give you the same diagram. So let's say we are the developer writing the code in the workstation. Okay, after the code they write, they push in the GitHub. Okay, GitHub in your repository. Okay, so who know the code has been changed in the GitHub? Only two guys. One developer is the one who know, because he's the one who upload the code. Okay, second one is GitHub guys, because code is saving there. So this program is the only one who know code has been changed. Apart from these two guys, nobody knows that code has been changed. Okay, and that is a reason we have to ask Jenkins to keep on running their triggers and keep on going to GitHub to check that something changed, something changed, something changed. Now, guys, understand one thing. Right now, in my case, I set a trigger for every minute. The 5 star means, okay, every minute. Okay, it means I'm asking my Jenkins to run this job or run this trigger every minute. And understand one thing, guys, if you're running something every minute in your computer wherever Jenkins is running, it unwanted waste your CPU time. So anybody who know about time complexity, it unwanted wasting your time complexity. Or I can say CPU time, or I can say performance. Okay, because every minute they keep on running, they keep on going to GitHub and check something changed. Or there might be possibility my developer is not going to change the code for 1 year, but even though every minute they go to check the code. Okay, so in that context, in this context, Jenkins perspective, a lot of performance issues happen, because it's not only one single job. Normally in Jenkins, you will find hundreds and thousands jobs and corporate world we are running. Okay, so every job is doing same thing for you, is a pure huge wastage of network bandwidth, or especially the CPU time and the performance. Okay, so if you think, right, your developers in the code won't change very frequently. Rarely they have a changes, maybe after a week or something like this. So going for this poll SCM as a trigger is not a good option. It will working good within the minute they come to know after code change, but it is a huge performance issue. Okay, so instead of this trigger, what can we do? Okay, we can take the help of GitHub guys. Means, okay, because this is the only guy who knows something has been changed, or maybe developer is the one guy who know by chance, but GitHub is the guy who know something changed. So if my developer changed the code, and after a year developer upload the code in the GitHub, so that time GitHub come to know my code has been changed or my repo has been changed. So there, guys, I can take the help of GitHub guys. So what can I do? Jenkins say that you are the GitHub and you know code change. So I want to take a help from you or support from you. And my help or support is simple. What I want, whenever some code change on you, just do one small thing. Just come to me, come to me, and just update me that something has been changed. That's the only thing I require. Okay, and as soon as you update me, I automatically come to know that something change on you. It means logically, it means some new code come up. So I have one of my job, so behind the scene I will run this job automatically, but only if when you update me. Okay, so again, maybe developer guys change the code after a week, they upload in the GitHub. So as soon as they upload in the GitHub, then I can tell my GitHub do one thing. When the code update, okay, then please come and update. I update to Jenkins. And guys, for Jenkins perspective, sorry, for the GitHub perspective, whenever you do something in the GitHub, you delete the file, create a new file, change something in the file, commit the file, okay, download the file. For the GitHub, everything is known as event. Okay, and whenever you upload anything in the GitHub, this is called push event. Okay, so GitHub perspective, whatever you do in the GitHub, even though guys, whenever I change something here, that is also called push event or change event. So behind the scene, GitHub know something is happening here. Okay, so GitHub know everything. So I can take the help of GitHub and say, GitHub, do one thing. Whenever any push event happened on you, just do one small thing, right? I have a Jenkins running in some of the IP address somewhere in the world. You are different computer altogether. Jenkins is our program running in my computer on one of my IP. Please come to Jenkins IP and update the Jenkins that something is changed. Okay. So for this, guys, GitHub has a concept called hooks. So GitHub guys provide this hooks concept. Hooks means we can hook the GitHub with our Jenkins. Okay, means I'll tell my GitHub that something is changed on you. Let's push, or maybe anything change on you, everything change on you. Maybe delete file, any kind of event happen. I want, please update the Jenkins, hook the Jenkins to this. And as soon as I come the Jenkins, I'll tell my Jenkins, if GitHub come to you, okay, then this is your trigger. And you have a job, run the job. Okay, so this is guys also one kind of trigger in the Jenkins. So let me very quickly try to show you this demo. So let's say I have this job. Okay, this job, very neat and clean job, nothing special here. Let me close all the triggers. I don't have any trigger here. Okay, and in this job is doing only one thing. Whenever we run this job, they download from this URL, and whatever file they download, they run it for us. Nothing is special. This is the only thing they will do. And you keep on waiting, they never run. Only way to run is click on build now, manual thing, they download and then run for you. Pretty straightforward. But I want my Jenkins job will do automatic build. Okay. And here I want to take the help of GitHub. Okay, I don't want to go for schedule or poll SCM. I want my Jenkins job is will keep on waiting till the time GitHub come to me. Like, understand one thing is not a small thing. GitHub is a one cloud service or SCM. They come to us and tell me that something changed on me and please run your job. It's not a small thing. Okay, and for this, Jenkins provide one trigger, and this trigger is called GitHub hook trigger for GitHub SCM polling. So this is a trigger you have to do and use, and you have to just enable this. That's all. That's the only thing you do. And also, guys, one thing, there's no option of schedule come here. Okay, like this we had. There is no option schedule because I don't know when to run this. Okay, that's the plan, right? The plan is we don't know when the code change. But I'm telling my GitHub, whenever my code change, update me. So there's no meaning of schedule, right? So in your job, you have to just enable this particular option. Okay. So as a Jenkins perspective, this is the only thing you have to do as a Jenkins perspective. And let me save this job. Okay. Now we see, guys, your last job was 18. Nothing nothing has been run after this. Either you can run manually, but I don't want this. Now what happened, I go to my GitHub in the same repository. Why in this repository? Because this is the exact repository we have added here. So if you go to configure, this is the exact repository we have added. So I'm going to same repository, and let's say I'm the developer. Again, upload this file, or maybe come here and change this file. And let's say I've changes. Let's say echo git hub trigger auto, something I have written here. Okay, and let me save this. So you know what is happening in my repository? Something is changing, or something changed actually. So GitHub know behind the scene some push or commit or some edit event happened. So Git know this thing. Okay, and if Git knows this thing, so Git definitely contact to Jenkins and say, Jenkins, something changed. Means Jenkins, please, you have a job, trigger your job, run your job. It means if I go to Jenkins, you will definitely see your code your job has been triggered. But guys, if you see here, it's not triggered yet. Even though I was again the last build 18th, and that happened at 22:17, and now time is 2020. Means my last build was 3 minutes back or ago. It's not running. So challenge is, guys, if you talk about Jenkins perspective, they say I will already run the job if GitHub come to me. If GitHub come to me. Okay. And at the GitHub perspective, GitHub, we change something in GitHub. So why we have this kind of disconnect continuity means why GitHub is not able to communicate with me. And it's simple, guys. How GitHub know where your Jenkins is? You know you are running the Jenkins. You know your Jenkins is running on some IP address 100 or 11. That you know, right? Your Jenkins is running in this IP. GitHub is a one cloud kind of service running by some other company. How they know where your Jenkins is? Okay. So technically, what I'm finally trying to tell you here is, okay. So in the GitHub, they have let's say in your GitHub you have an account in the GitHub. In your account, you will have hundreds and thousands of repositories. For example, if you talk about my account in the GitHub, I have lots of repository for different code. Okay, a lot of repositories I have right now. Okay, so you should be very clear with GitHub and say, GitHub, right, I have a lot of repository, but I have one repository called repo1. So I want, when something change in this repository or some event happen in this repository, then your hooks work. Means then only you can go to my Jenkins. But if I tell GitHub, go to my Jenkins. So obviously you should be very clear where your Jenkins is running. If your GitHub don't know the IP of your Jenkins, how they reach to your Jenkins. Okay. And for this, guys, in the GitHub, inside your repo, you have to enable something. Okay. What I mean by that, let me show you. Guys, can you hold for a second, guys, please? So what to do? So inside your GitHub, okay, so I'm inside my repo. I might have hundreds of repo maybe, but I want this repo if change, then this repo or this GitHub contact to my Jenkins running somewhere in the world. So what you have to do, you first go to your repo. There's an option here in the top called settings. Click on the settings. Okay, and here you can see options called webhooks. That's what I was talking about. So click on the webhooks. Okay, and what you see here, okay, this guy say, I am a GitHub. I will contact to external service, and in this case, our external service is Jenkins. Okay, to be notified when some event happen. Means we'll update the Jenkins and ask the Jenkins to run the job when something changed. When something changed. That's what these guys say. Okay, and for this we have to enable the hooks in your repository. Enable means you have to add it. Okay, so how to add? Pretty straightforward. Just click. Because you're doing something very much sensitive thing here. It's not a small thing. So they are again asking your password to confirm. Okay, so just click add, and what they're asking you, very simple thing. Okay, they're asking you which event will trigger your webhooks. Means you are a GitHub, you are in your repo. Okay, you will go to our Jenkins and ask the Jenkins to run the job or trigger the job. The same thing. When? Okay, so when you trigger means which event? Something change on you, file deleted. Okay, so which event you're talking about? Okay, so just for push event, or maybe you guys select something. Okay, something run the code, something create a branch, something delete a branch. Okay, something commit something. So if you guys know about GitHub, you guys know most of the keywords here. Something forks you, all right? So when you want this job to be run. So if you know about GitHub and GitHub, you know this some of the keywords here. But right now, guys, this is not the GitHub training. So I just want to make it very simple. So just click here, send me everything. It means anything happen in this repository, not in GitHub account, in this repository, then only GitHub will contact to Jenkins. Now, the big question over here is where the Jenkins, right? So GitHub, we say GitHub just contact Jenkins. Which Jenkins? Which IP? So here they're talking about the IP address, and here you have to put your IP address. And by chance, I know my Jenkins is working on this IP address: 192.168.111.88. So this is the IP address of Jenkins where you have to put. Okay, and if you guys see here, this is the exactly same IP address of my Jenkins. So if I copy this and paste on the notepad, this is the IP address of my Jenkins. Okay, so you know your IP address, so put in your GitHub account and say GitHub, please contact to this IP address. Okay. Now, one more thing you have to do, guys, here. Uh, if you just talk about Jenkins, Jenkins is a program. It do lots of things for you. Okay, it'll do a lot of things for you. But understand one thing: if you talk about a program, or if you talk about a server, or if you talk about a platform, so Jenkins is a one kind of, I can say, platform, and this platform come with internally lots of different small components or small programs. Okay, so one program duty is to run the job, one program duty is to download the plugins, one program duty is to keep on listening when GitHub come to us as a trigger. So when a GitHub come, so GitHub will contact to this program. Okay, so every program in the Jenkins is doing something for you. So Jenkins is one big box, and they have a lot of program running behind this. And by chance, in the technical world, this program is known as API. So Jenkins has a lot of API, and every API is doing something for us. Okay, so technically, okay, if you want, GitHub will connect to Jenkins. So GitHub should know three things: the IP address of the Jenkins, the port number of the Jenkins. Yeah, one more thing: the protocol of the Jenkins. Here in my case, HTTP. And one more fourth thing your GitHub should know about Jenkins is which program will handle their request, which program they have to connect. Okay, means you tell the API name of your Jenkins to your GitHub, because Jenkins is a different tool, GitHub is a different tool. They don't have any relation actually, so they don't know anything about each other. Okay, so in the Jenkins world, you tell the name of the program. It's called API. And if you search, guys, in the market, what is the name of the API in the Jenkins that have a capability to listen from the GitHub when something hook run? Okay, so name of that API, if you search in the Google, then you can find this name. Okay, it's a fixed name. It's an internal code, and this is the API name they have. Okay, so you obviously don't have to remember. So tool to tool, your API name will change. So this is the API name running in the Jenkins. Okay, so that's what, guys, we have provided to GitHub. GitHub go to this protocol, this IP, this port, and this program. So all those four things we can write in one URL. Okay, so this is the only setup you have to do, and that's all. Okay, and obviously it was just active this. If it's not active, in my case it is active, so this is the only thing you have to do. Now, guys, okay, what challenge you will face? And now I think it is now maybe clear what challenge you will. One more challenge you will face here. The challenge was very clear. Okay, so let me draw here. Right now, guys, GitHub is a product running in the cloud, or I can say running in the public IP or internet. Or my Jenkins is running in my laptop, means in the private IP world. And I told you guys, anybody from the private world want to go to public world, that is allowed. So from my laptop, if I want to go to Google, I can go. You can also go. But Google want to come to me to connect the request, they can't do. Okay, even though they're Google or Facebook, doesn't matter. If they try to connect to my laptop, they can't. I can connect to Facebook, but Facebook not able to connect to me because of public or private concept. If you know networking, you guys might know this. So if my Jenkins want to connect to GitHub, they can connect. And that's why guys, I show you multiple trigger. Jenkins can go to GitHub and download the code. Okay, this is the example where what is happening. My laptop is not going to GitHub. Okay, GitHub has to come to me. Okay, means from somebody from the internet world should have to come to my private IP. And technically, GitHub can connect to Jenkins, not a big deal, but issue is of because of private IP. And nobody can from the internet can connect to your private world. Okay, and that is the reason you have to go to your ISP and get the public IP and give to your Jenkins system. Or you can use same approach that I used, and so I show you today. You can take the help of ngrok kind of tools. So I can ask my ngrok and say, I have the Jenkins running on this port number of this protocol. Can you please connect this system tunnel with you, and you please provide public IP, and this public IP I will provide to GitHub, so they can through you they can reach to something like this. Okay, so guys, this is the reason why I explain you today ngrok. Otherwise, normally in the real world, whenever you install the Jenkins, either install the Jenkins in AWS cloud, they will provide a public IP, so you don't have to worry there. Or maybe in the in your own data center, in a company, you have your public IP, so you don't have to worry there. But just to test this thing in your own local environment, you can take the help of ngrok for this practical. Okay, so what I'm doing here, I'm first opening my putty as a program. Nothing special here. Why I'm opening putty? My only plan is so I can do some copy paste. One minute. So putty is a program, you guys know, is a program in Windows, and using this program I can do remote logging to my Red Hat system. To this IP address. Why I'm doing nothing special, I can run the ngrok also here, but I have to copy paste something, so I can't copy paste from this VM directly to my Windows. So I'm using putty here. Putty is a program to remote logging to the system. So IP is 11. Open. Yes, I can give my VM password of Red Hat. So I again landed to this same system only. So as you guys know what is SSH. So I have done SSH here. And I go to download folder. Why download folder? Because this is a folder where I have ngrok. So I'm actually in the same system where I was. Okay. And so but only difference is, by chance this screen is putty, so I can get the data directly in Windows to copy paste. I need somewhere. And now I'm using ngrok. Okay, and now what I'm trying to tell my ngrok, and ngrok, wherever you are in the same system, one program is running on port number 8080 on H3 protocol. Okay, so some program is running on this particular protocol. And you guys know what happened when you run this. So in this is the same system where my Jenkins is running. Okay, so my Jenkins, sorry, 1 minute. So as soon as I hit this, my ngrok will give me public IP, and with the help of this public IP, anybody in the world, can connect to my computer on this port. So technically, you guys can also connect to my computer and you can access my Jenkins. Okay, you can access my Jenkins, but I don't want this. Because if every try, ngrok give you a limit. After limit exit, I also won't able to connect. So I won't able to show this practical. So I suggest you guys don't connect to the IP that provided to me. Okay, otherwise thing will break right now. Okay, but yeah, so when I run this, my Jenkins will be exposed to the public world. Anybody can connect this. Okay, so I'm hitting enter and I'm doing one thing. I know you guys won't connect to me, but even though I just try to hide my screen, so you won't get my public IP. So I'm online. I got the public IP, and with this public IP means I got a public IP for my Jenkins. So anybody, you can use this public IP to connect. But right now my intention here is not like anybody connect. I want to give this public IP to my GitHub. Okay, how? Pretty simple. I just go to same page, and here I replace this URL with the public IP provided to me. That's the only thing I will do here. Okay. So for this, guys, I'm quickly just stopping and sharing my screen, right? Sharing my screen, right? So I can copy paste my URL. I believe on you guys, you won't copy and you don't try to connect my Jenkins, but even though maybe I just want to hide for a minute. Okay, and guys, I've done nothing. Maybe my screen is not visible. I've done nothing here special. I just copy paste my URL of the ngrok and pasted here in my GitHub. That's all. And then I'll save my ad hoc, webhook. That's all. That's the only thing, guys, I have done here. Okay, and finally, I'm sharing my screen again back. I just save this part. Okay, that's the only thing I've done. So finally, I GitHub. All right, we set a webhook. Means I'll tell my GitHub that in this particular repository where we are, anything change, any event happen. Okay, we have a Jenkins running somewhere. So this is the URL of the Jenkins running somewhere. So please go to this particular URL and connect and ask them to trigger, update them that something is changed. Okay, something changed so that they will run their job. Okay, so now I'll go back again to my Jenkins. If you notice, guys, again, if I refresh here, I was again in the 18th job. 18th job, nothing is happening. But now, as soon as I change in my code, okay, you can run manual, there's different your choice. But guys, in my Jenkins, I don't have any schedule. So finally, it is saving my CPU time and my performance. So my Jenkins is not running. They are free from keep on running in a cron job or schedule. So they are free from that part. So Jenkins is ideal, I can say. They're not doing anything. Okay. But what you'll see, guys, after a minute, after 10 minutes, maybe you will see the one job run. Why? Because somebody asked Jenkins to run it, and who that somebody is GitHub. Okay. So let me show you in the GitHub. So this is my GitHub account. Okay. Let me go to the repository. This one. Okay. And what I'm doing here, I am changing some my code here. Okay. Let me add one more line. Echo, let's say final one. And let's say your developer in your local system change something. The upload in the GitHub. I'm changing directly here. Same thing. There's no difference. But as soon as I upload or change something in GitHub, behind the scene, GitHub connected to Jenkins and ask them to run the job, or it's going to trigger the job. Okay, and if everything is connected successfully, there is no challenge in any point, right? In the connectivity or other things or URL, then your job will run. Okay, so let's go and see. Again, we are on the 18th number job. Okay, job is not yet run. Okay, so there's two challenges. Either my my GitHub is not able to reach to Jenkins, but technically I provided a public IP to my GitHub, so they should reach. Okay, so what is challenge? So for this, guys, we can take the help again of GitHub, and normally they give us a clue or the log. Okay, so if I go to my Git webhook again, and here if you edit, if you go down, like here they in the bottom you see some deliveries. Means technically, GitHub is also doing the best. They detected something as we change at this time, and they try to run something, but it's fail. They fail. And here, the guys you see here in detail, they say something I tried. I tried to reach to some of your Jenkins guys, whatever the URL somewhere you provided to me. I tried to reach there, but something's failed. Something is failed. I won't able to reach there. Okay, so some error response come from that guy. Okay, so uh, so why the error come up? So technically, guys, technically, what I found, I realized by a proper document of the Jenkins, the realize very small error, actually nothing especially here. The error is because the API that you write here, okay, they have some kind of constant they set. They have you have to write the API with slash. That's a very small thing I know, but that's the only thing you have to. So you have to put the slash here in the last in the API. Very small thing, but technically anybody know about REST API creation. So slash is also a different thing. So if you write anything GitHub slash webhook is a different thing. If you write after slash is a different thing, right? So technically this is the complete name of the API. Obviously you don't have to remember in the document. If you read maybe this document, you will find this is the full syntax of the API. Okay, so finally that's what we have to write here, and I'm just changing slash here in the last, and let me update. That's all. So that's the only thing you have to do. Again, guys, I still was in 18 the job, and now everything is properly connected. Okay, and again I just try to add some more thing. Let's say by something and save. Now I'll go to Jenkins, guys. Right now Jenkins. I haven't touched anything Jenkins. There's no schedule in the Jenkins. I'm pretty sure because this type of code I've tested multiple times. So I'm pretty sure this job will auto build. Okay, so GitHub behind the scene is trying to connect to me, and maybe I have to refresh 18 job. They should come till now. Again, it's not coming. So the only challenge is we have a issue of connectivity. Maybe recently I used ngrok, so they blocked my IP for some time. But there might be possibility, right? Let me check in a minute. Okay, but this is the only chance not to have this connectivity. But let me again go and check over here again in over here and refresh this page. Does they have again error? Yeah, again they have the error. So technically this is the only chance why they have this error. Okay, so they guys now the error change, and they say here maximum connections, right? That's what I was talking about. Okay, so they say because what of the ngrok provided you has a maximum limit exceeded. That is the reason I wanted not to connect to me, but maybe in last example by chance my connection reached. Okay, so this issue, guys, is not from Jenkins GitHub. The public IP, the way I use from ngrok, they have a certain limit, so they might block my IP for some time. Maybe after some time, again I do the same practical with the new IP, it will work for me. So this again error, guys, if you see from GitHub, is from my ngroks. Okay, but yeah, you can try this practical over here, or maybe again afterwards I again show this practical one more time. You will see it is working fine. Even though what a URL that I have that I try to hide you from, but if I copy this URL and try it manually, okay, you can see same error, right? So I am also not able to connect to my Jenkins. So obviously GitHub also not. Okay. So 1 minute, guys. So 1 minute, please. Okay. So I will see this practical again after maybe they unlock my IP. Right. Otherwise, this is the practical you have to do. Okay. So this is one more trigger, very powerful, very important trigger, very much useful, and lots of area we use this kind of trigger. Okay, a lot of customization we can do. If you know more about GitHub, you can do a lot of further customization also if you want to do from the GitHub side. Otherwise, in the Jenkins side, you have not to do much. Okay, so this is the one thing we have now. Let's talk about one more trigger. Again, it is very interesting and a lot of different use cases this trigger solve for us. Okay. By the meantime, let me close my tunnel. Okay. Tunnel. Okay. So let me guys show you one more interesting trigger. Is again very much useful. Okay. So what this trigger will do for you? So again, guys, very interesting application you can create by this trigger. So what Jenkins provide you, whenever you create any jobs in the Jenkins, okay, for every job, Jenkins behind the scene created a one API. Okay. Use of this API is per job API. So if you have 10 job, 10 different API for job they create. And use of this API is, okay, anybody who don't know by chance about API, you can think API is like a URL. So every job they give a unique URL. And use of this URL is anybody has this URL. Okay, by this URL, they can run their job. So they don't have to come to Jenkins to run this job. Okay, they just type this URL in the browser somewhere. Okay, over here, for example, and they can run the job for you. But just by typing this URL. Okay, and guys, you know, anybody who knows something about web technology, so tapping URL means hitting URL. Hitting URL means behind the scene you are running some program, and the program is actually known as API. Okay, so you know API, you don't know API, it's not so important, but important thing is every job they give a unique URL to run. That's what, guys, the meaning of use of this new trigger I'm talking about. So what can we do here? Okay, so if you want to run the job in the Jenkins, okay, one of the ways you can log in the web UI of the Jenkins means you can log in over here. Here you can see all the jobs, and what a job you want to run, click here and it will run for you. Pretty straightforward. Okay, but not everyone have this portal, or not everyone want to log into this guy. Okay, mostly might possibility we have one team has already created a job, and this team also have one internal company portal. They have their own personal website, for example, website. And here, you know what, here they created one button here, and name of button is execute job, something like this. So what I want, what this team want, whenever I feel like to run my job, maybe I need that job to be run. Okay, I just go to my personal website, my personal portal. I click in this button. Okay, but you know, guys, what is button? Button behind the scene will run the URL. Which URL? This URL. And finally, my job will run. Okay, so I don't have to log into the Jenkins Web UI for my own personal website, own personal portal. I can run the job. Okay, so anybody who know here how to create a web app or website, especially I'm talking to Earth guys. In Earth guys, right now we are on this track of web app development with Python Flask. So creating this button from the HTML is not big deal. Just create this button. It's like a link you can think of. And as I click on this link, behind the link we have a URL. You will run, and when URL run, it automatically run the job. Okay, so this is also, guys, one more kind of triggers we have. So again, if I go to my job, and if I click on configure in the build trigger, so we have one more job called trigger build remotely. Okay, that's what remotely means. They give you one URL, and URL is like this, like this. So that's what, guys, the use of this. Remotely means by some URL, and this URL you can type it manually, put in some website, web pages, HTML code, or maybe somewhere else. Or anybody by chance also, you can also create one more interesting facility for this. Anybody who know mobile app development. Okay, so recently, guys, a lot of guys have done training under me in mobile app development called Flutter. So anybody who know Flutter, I just want to give this task to you, very interesting task. Create a mobile app, and guys, that time also I explain you how to call the API from the Flutter. Okay. So now Jenkins will give you one API or one URL. Use this URL in the app. So in the app, you have a button. Click in the button. As soon as you click in the button, your job will run. So a team will have your mobile app. Team will have their own website. Okay, or maybe they don't have website or Flutter app or maybe mobile app. They might have their own personal scripts, Python script, Shell script, any other scripts maybe. So whenever they want to run this job, they run the script. Because script also capability to call the URL. Okay, so technically, if you want that your team will have a facility whenever they want to run the job, running the job would be very handy. So either they create a script, they create a mobile app, they create a website, anything they can create, whatever they know. But only thing is they need a URL. And who will provide this URL? Jenkins. How? By enabling this feature. That's all. And automatically, guys, they give you a URL for the job. And guys, if you notice here, this URL is per job. So if you see here in the URL, job to come up. Okay. So if you go to other job, they have a different URL altogether. So from the URL, or by hitting this URL, anybody can run this job. But I told you guys, this URL is per job. Okay, so if I give this URL to you, you can only run this job. But if you try to run other job, for example, if you want to try to run this job, this guy will have a different URL. For this, you have to enable this. Enable this, and here they have a different URL. Okay, but maybe somebody guys can guess my job name. So if I provide this URL, they might try to guess other job name, and they can try to run other job also. So I don't want this, guys. Anybody can run any job, because Jenkins is one program we have in a company. A lot of team has created their job there with their name. Okay, so there's a use of, guys, token come in play. Okay, so whenever you create a job and want to run the job with trigger, okay, so every URL, guys, we associated with some kind of token name. Token name you can think like a password. So if you know the complete URL, because this is a very normal syntax, is a general syntax, but without knowing the token name or without knowing the password, nobody can able to run this job. Okay, so this is per job token or per job password. Okay, so if you know the password of job 1, you won't able to know, you don't know the password of job 2, so you won't able to run job 2. Okay, so let me show you this practical very quickly. It's also one kind of great trigger. So if I go to job 2, configure, and let's say I want the job to be run remotely. This is the URL they give to us. Okay, so if I type this URL in some of my new portal, obviously this is the Jenkins URL, means you have to put your Jenkins URL here. After this one, this one. So anybody who have this URL, okay, and guess this is a very common URL. Okay, this is very, because this is very generic syntax. Okay, but if you know this URL, but if you don't know token name password, you won't able to run it. So guys, if you try to run this, it failed. They say you're not allowed, something like this. It failed. Okay, so technically you have to give some password. Let me, guys, for testing, I'm just giving a password called Red Hat or maybe anything you can give. So this is like a token or my password. And let me save this. Now what you will see, guys, right now my last job is 18th, but anybody who know this URL, right? So let me again, guys, copy this URL, open new tab, pasting here. Just by hitting this URL with your password or token, enter, no output come up, it means this is good. Okay, so from by running this URL, or I'm saying by running this API, it's also called API, I have run the job. Okay, so guys, last job was 18th. Now if you go here again in the Jenkins and you see 19th job run right now, just right now. And if you try to see the output, okay, now this job is run by the system. So anybody who run this job, their IP directory. By some guys, because I am the one who run this job for my Windows computer, so they detected my Windows IP. So if I run very quickly IP config command in my Windows, this is the exactly same IP I have. Okay, so they detected this job is run by this guy from this IP. And now because now you know the URL, so anybody who know mobile app development, anybody know web app development, anybody know how to create scripts, they can run this job. Okay, so let me guys try to create one small script. Okay, so let me open my Windows terminal. And guys, in the scripting world, if you want to run any URL or any API, very commonly used command is called curl. That's all, guys. This is what script created. Script created. So now this is my command, or you can think this guy's script. Or if I copy this code in my program file, then program file becomes script. So I handed over the script to my to my team members and say, this is the job you have, this is the command you have, this URL you have, the script you have. Whenever feel like to run that job, run the job, run this URL or run this command, it will run for you. Okay, so you don't have to worry about any time about who will run this job. So there's no scheduler, there's no GitHub scheduler. Whenever you feel like, whenever you want, run this. Okay, but right now, guys, if I try to run this, you know what happened? If I run this, it failed. It failed with authentication required. You know why this error come up? This error come up because of one reason. Okay, the reason is if you talk about Jenkins, Jenkins say I'm a program running on this IP on this port number. Anybody who want to go to this port number, okay, and obviously, guys, without going to this port number, you won't able to reach any of the APIs or any of the programs. First, you have to go inside this port number. And for going inside this port number, you first authenticate yourself with the Jenkins. By chance, this URL run properly from my browser, because in my browser, guys, I already log in the Jenkins. Okay, so this browser know already about your admin user, that your admin your login, so they're not asking me the login and password, or it's called authentication. So if you run this job from your URL, again I'm hitting enter, there's no error come up, and job is also running behind this here, 20th job automated run. Why? Because this is the same browser where I already log in, from admin account. So it is something like this, if you log in Gmail or Google in your browser, if you open one more tab in the same browser and try to open Gmail, it will open. They won't ask the password. But right now, this is the different program altogether. This is my terminal. Okay, and in the terminal, I haven't logged in Jenkins. So they say, because you haven't logged into Jenkins, so you need authentication. You need login and password. Okay, so for this, what can we do? For this, in this URL, curl has a capability. Before the IP address, you can give your username and you can give your password. Then at the right. So this is a syntax in the curl command. You can give the username, then column, then your password. So in my case, actually, in my Jenkins, when I log in or log out, my password I have set in my account is Red Hat. You can pass this login and password here. Okay. Now let me try again run. Now there is no error come up. Okay, and you see, guys, 21 job automated run. 21 job automated run. Okay, there is no error come up. Okay, and now I can give this command to my other team members and they can run it. Okay, challenge here is giving your login and password of your main Jenkins is very much dangerous. So anybody who can read a script, they come to know your password, they go to Jenkins, log in and see other jobs also. Maybe other team also working in the same Jenkins portal, right? So it is something dangerous. So for this, giving the password is not good practice. For this, we have some more concept called tokens of the users. So how to assign the token, we will see in the next class. Okay, but yeah, it is working great. This command is working great. You can try this command to run. So this is also one more way to trigger. So understand one thing is whatever we are discussing here is everything is an automation, right? Jenkins is doing automating for you by the jobs. Inside the job, we can do lots of things, and we'll see in upcoming class to write lots of steps in these jobs. But right now, what I'm discussing here, after you create the job, like download the GitHub code, copy here and there, run your code. Okay, but who will run this job? I don't want to run this job manually. Okay, I don't want to run this job manually. So who will run this job? So here the role of triggers come in play. So we can set different trigger for different use case. One will run your job again and again every day, every minute. Okay. One, they will only run the job if something changed the GitHub called Paul SCM. One, they wait for months and months. When GitHub come to us, then only they run the job. Or one, maybe they say, I give a URL to you or API to you. So anybody who run this URL whenever you want for mobile phone, for the website, then only job will run. So use case to use case. I'm not saying which one is best or which one is not best. Everybody has a different use case. But in any of the example, your job will run automatically. You don't have to manually go and run the job in the Jenkins portal. So that's what guys the whole and soul plan. One more triggers we have, right? That's called build after project. Again, very interesting trigger. In my upcoming class, we will discuss about this particular trigger. Okay. So that's all, guys, for today. We have a next class on next week. By chance, Tuesday to Friday, we have a classes, guys. Tuesday, I am not here. So we will continue, guys, classes from Wednesday. But now we have a lot of things to be practiced. Anybody who know Flutter, uh, I highly suggest try to create the app that will connect to the Jenkins. Anybody who know web technology development Flask, so I'm highly suggesting all the Earth learner create a very simple page from the Flutter or maybe external page and click on the URL and try to run the Jenkins job. So a small task from my side. Otherwise, those who are purely in Jenkins classes, at least try to do these small testing. Okay, try to do GitHub practical also. Everything we have done. Only in my case, we had an issue. I had an issue of number of connection limit. Maybe this issue might solve. Yeah, now it's solved. So I can very quickly put the now it's running after some time. So I can again put this thing in my GitHub, there, and they will work for me. So I don't want to waste for that. I show you the entire process. You can try by yourself. Okay. So that's all, guys, from my side. Any questions, any query, if you have, you guys can ask me. So the last day for summer program registration, Vishnu, I don't know yet. Normally it says Java O exception. I don't know which portion you're getting this error, but yeah, while